Welcome back. It's time for Single Rapier Lesson 3, and you might notice that I don't have a sword in my hand. We are going to be working on a different type of attack today called an around the body cut, but first we need to look at some footwork. We're going to start with what are known as passing steps. Let's take a look. Here I am in my en garde position. And if I want to take a passing step forward in order to move closer to my partner to deliver an attack, all I'm going to do is this. That is a passing step. I can do another one. There we go. I can also do a passing step back, or pass back. Looks like this. And here's another passing step. Okay. So here's what I'm doing. It's very, very simple, but there is some technique to it that I want you to pay attention to. All we're doing is we are taking, if we're moving forward, we're just going to take the rear foot and we're going to place it in front of our front foot so that it becomes the new front foot, just like this. And then I end in an en garde position. Now, as I do that, there is a slight adjustment with the hips, but please do not try to walk like a cowboy. Here's what I mean. Do not swing your hips from side to side as you walk. Clearly, you'll end up like this without any width between your feet, and you'll be pointed offline. Instead, your hips need to be pointed forward, online, towards your partner. There's only a tiny, tiny movement in between your steps where your hips move only slightly. They stay forward for the most part. Now, as you do passing steps, you're going to want to frequently look down and check your feet to make sure that they're still in a good en garde position. It's very easy to accidentally lose all of your width and depth if you are taking these passing steps without paying attention. So we don't want to lose that width. We want to end here. Check your feet. Make sure, okay, good. Am I on line? Is my back foot at a 45-degree angle? Are my knees bent? Are my hips on line? Are my shoulders on line? Am I staying low? Now, as you take these passing steps, your upper body is going to stay very relaxed and still. You do not want to do a lot of rocking back and forth like this. Don't want to look like a drunk sailor. You also do not want to pop up and down. Not like that. You want to stay low, and your upper body is silent, and we move from our center. By the way, our center is approximately, for most people, 2 fingers widths below your belly button. If you drew a line right there, you'd probably be able to fold yourself in half pretty exactly. It's a little different for everybody, but that's approximately where the center is. And I want you to visualize moving forward and moving back from your center. So I move forward here, and I move back and back. Now as you do this, you also don't want to act like you've got your feet stuck in the mud. You don't want to have to lift up and move forward. Okay, maybe your shoes are too heavy if you're doing that. It should be very light on the feet. We move, we move. And at the very end, there should be a slight adjustment of the feet as well, so that you go back into that en garde position. The new front foot needs to point straight ahead. The new back foot needs to be at a 45. So right now my left foot is pointed ahead. My back foot is at a 45. I step forward. And now my front foot is straight ahead and my back foot is at a 45. Once again, forward, front foot is pointed straight ahead, back foot is at a 45. If I pass back, then I make a slight adjustment. Now my front foot is forward, back foot's 45, pass back again, slight adjustment. Now if I take multiple passing steps together, I don't make that adjustment until the very end. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say I want to take 2 passing steps forward. Well, as I step, first step, I don't adjust my foot. I just keep it here so that when I take my second step, I'm already in the correct position. So if you're taking an even number of steps, there's no need to adjust your feet at all. If, however, you take an odd number of steps, there is a slight adjustment, but it's at the very end. So I step once, twice, third step, and I adjust at the very, very end. But I stay low, keep my hips forward the whole time. Now, if you're taking a large number of steps, it's okay for your feet to get a little narrow while you're walking, as long as when you end, you still have width in between your feet. Totally fine. So for instance, if I know I'm going to take 3 steps, I can walk with my feet together as long as when I end, I give myself that width again. And also, I need to make sure that every single step I take is a large, appropriate passing step. If I'm moving forward, my goal is to get closer to my partner so I can deliver an attack. If I'm moving backwards, my goal is to get out of dodge and away from my partner so that I don't get killed. So you need to cover large amounts of space in both cases. So don't fall into the trap of taking a drop step or a half step and then a full step. Both steps need to be big steps. Big step, big step. Big step, big step. Okay? So those are passing steps. Now, let's add in attacks. Here's my rapier. We're going to do that same exercise as before, but we're going to add in footwork, and we are going to change some of the cuts from a fishing line cut to what is known as an around the body cut. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to do that same shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip. I will start with a fishing cut, and then I will end with around the body cuts. Here we go. And now from a different angle. Start with the fishing line cut, sorry, and around the body cuts. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm doing here. First of all, I am using weight shifts with these steps. So, on the preparation, I'm always going to weight shift back, and on the attack, after the passing step, I'm going to end weight shifted forward. And then I can weight shift back again as I prep, pass forward, and weight shifted forward. So I'm using those weight shifts. Now the trick, of course, comes in the around the body section. And all I'm doing is I'm taking the weapon, and I'm pointing it towards the ground and moving it around my back before I then place it flat on that table again. I'm still going to be attacking parallel to the ground, and then I commit to the attack just like I would in a fishing line cut. So really, it's just this preparation that's different. Everything else is still a fishing line cut with these around the body cuts. Now, as you do this, you do want to pay very close attention so that if your sword has queons, you don't whack yourself in the back of the head. Even with these bell guards here, you want to make sure that you clear the back of your head and don't whack yourself there. Fortunately, these aren't broadswords. In broadswords, it can become really, really difficult because they've got really big old queons that can whack you in the back of the head very, very easily. Now, as you do this, you do not need to grip tightly onto the sword. You can let the sword go and loosen up that grip a little bit. It's okay. I don't need to hold tightly. Loosen up as much as you need to get it around your body. Now, the purpose of doing this, it just looks cool. It makes it look as if you're really having to put a lot of force into the blade, and therefore you're really trying to hit the other person. In reality, there's not much martial logic behind doing this, but it does help tell the story that at this moment in the fight, I am really trying to put some force into this swing and hit my partner. And it also just looks really cool and flashy. So, best of both worlds. One more thing is that we do want the sword very, very vertical. The reason for that is because you don't know if there are other people behind you, especially in a class or if you are being directed and you're in a show and there's a lot of action going on stage and there's fighters all over the place. There could very well be people behind you. And so if you allow your around the body cuts to end like this, to prep like this, you could be hitting somebody behind you. So the default choice is to make the sword as vertical as possible and keep it tight to your body so as not to accidentally hit anyone behind you. And you could also be hitting set pieces behind you that you might not know about. Now, it's not incorrect to do it the other way. It's just not the default. So if you are in a show and your fight director says, okay, you guys are the only folks on stage right now. There's no set pieces that we need to worry about here. So feel free to go all out and with your round the body cuts, allow the sword to be parallel to the ground, because it can look cooler as if you are putting more effort into it. But you really have to make sure that it's safe. You have to know what's behind you. You need to make sure there's nothing else on stage. And then, with permission, if it's appropriate for the fight and your character, then by all means do that. But for this exercise that you're going to be submitting, I want to see it going vertical around the back of your head. So the exercise that you're going to film yourself doing is that same shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip sequence, but now we are adding passing steps and around the body cuts. So once again, I'll show it to you from another angle, for yet another angle. So here I am. I'm starting left foot forward, and I'm going to attack on my right. Okay, and that is something to pay attention to. Generally speaking, when you are passing forward, you want to attack on the same side as the foot that is moving forward. So if I am stepping forward with my right foot, then I am attacking on my right side. If I am stepping forward with my left foot, I'm attacking on my left side. That way we're not trying to twist into our hip as we attack, which can be awkward. It's called disaffinity. Okay, so I'm starting left foot forward here, and I weight shift back, spot the target, pass forward, fishing line cut. Weight shift back, around the body cut. I'm waiting for my partner to move back. When they do, I can pass forward, cut. Weight shift back, around the body, spot the target, pass forward, cut. Weight shift back, spot the target, around the body, pass forward, cut. All right, now let's take a look at it left foot forward. I'm sorry, right foot forward, and I'll even switch to the other hand. Here we go. So if I'm starting right foot forward, that means I'm going to be starting to attack on my left side because I'm going to be stepping with my left foot. So I make eye contact, weight shift back and prep, spot the target, pass forward, cut. Weight shift back, around the body, pass forward, cut. Weight shift back, around the body, pass forward, cut. Weight shift back, around the body, pass forward, cut. All right, that's all there is to it. So please film yourself doing that sequence, shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, passing forward with around the body cuts. Thanks so much.